This week, I'm going fast and I'm furious. While on tour, I'm snookered, but still trying to negotiate and avoid all-out legal war. And, like Batman, I'm waiting for a symbol in the sky I cannot ignore, but it's still foot to the floor in uncharted territory I haven't been in before. I'm Daniel, it's Ashville Weekly, episode 195. It's Monday morning. I'm not in the yard. I'm on the roading in somewhere in the middle of France. But if the team need me and they shine the A in the sky like Batman, I will do the U-turn. It's going to be a busy week. We are going to be installing our stoppers at the end of the primary and secondary line. Now, at the moment, these look relatively disgusting, but once we get into the yard properly, we're going to sandblast them and they're going to be painted black, and then they're going to have a yellow on the front facing side where the buffers of the train hit it.
Wooden sleepers, aren't they?
Yeah.
You can't put concrete around the sleepers to rock.
But then what if they cover the sleepers with plastic? Because you can't put concrete in under the buffer.
But can you concrete the buffer or something?
Yeah, on top of the rail.
In the same way as you normally do.
Yeah.
But you can't get a concrete sleeper with that. So we have to wrap that in plastic.
First, we need to spread the track ballast and compact to prepare a base for the buffers. The primary and secondary line do not finish at exactly the same point, and we would like the buffers to be lined up next to each other. So, one of the lines needs to be extended. This is done using closure rails, which are small extensions. The rail in this area needs to be drilled to create holes for the fish plate bolts. This is done using a Chambry rail drill. Forgive my pronunciation, my French isn't great. Once the area is prepared, the buffers are lifted into place and attached using the fish plates with 30mm holes and the 25mm bolts. Track ballast will then be compacted between the sleepers and the shuttering team take over to prepare for concrete. We have a machine going out on hire. We want to take a look around it and give it a clean so we can give it to the client in a good state. So when they return it to us, we have something to gauge it against. First, we refuel the machine so it has a full tank of diesel. Now, what is going on here? Why is Michael back in the yard when I'm not around? This is not a full wash. We're just taking off some of the loose dirt. The client has sent one of their own lorries in to collect, so we don't need to worry about delivering. But out of nowhere, a call has come in from the driver's office and they've told him not to take the machine as the hire has been cancelled. Unfortunately, the mission has been aborted. Well, that didn't go according to plan, did it? Anyway, I've been telling you for weeks about the court case. We finally got a date. The client who's not paying us wanted the court to be all the way in the north of Wales. I was busy that day on the moon, although I would have needed my passport and my astronaut outfit to get all the way up there, but Matt went and we got the victory. I thought that was the end of it. Silly me. They then came back and said they would like to pay us £158 a week until they pay back our 60k plus costs, because they said they're so hard up they need to rent a telly. All now they live in a £16 million house. We have another court date today, but the judge has allowed Matt to join by Zoom, and they said it will only be a 15-minute hearing. Hopefully, once again, the judge takes all the circumstances into account and we get the decision. We're going to start the work on the switch, which changes the locomotive between the primary and the secondary line. When you have two switches connecting, helping move from one line to the other, this is called a crossover. We're lubricating the mechanisms because they're very stiff. You saw me trying to operate these a few weeks back. A lubricant called Interflon is sprayed on the hand lever mechanism and on the slide plates. The actual rail which moves, called the switch rail, moves on top of these slide plates. So this should free up the entire system and make it easier for the shunter to operate the switch. Now, my Land Rover Defender, the original workhorse that I got a very long time ago, the one that's going to be up for sale soon. A company has now arrived in the yard to refurbish the rims. Busy day in the new yard. We are now pouring more sections of the track with the C50 concrete. Due to the location of this pour, the contractor has requested a boom pump as they felt our line pump wouldn't work. The court case has been adjourned for another 2 weeks because the unpaying client has asked for more time to go through the file. And it also gives the judge more time for them to study it. These people are playing a game that we're not used to playing, and they are playing it well. I'm not happy about this. So technically, this week, we are fast and furious.
It's Tuesday morning. I'm not in the yard. I'm in Switzerland. Geneva, to be exact. In the yard, we still don't have an agreement with the previous landlord, who technically still is our landlord because we're on the land. I hope we can reach an agreement, and of course I understand the time we're staying in the yard now is not free, but I just hope that they can be reasonable with us. We have continually tried to negotiate, and they don't want to accept it. In the new yard, the boys in the construction team are about to pour concrete for bases for the temporary location for the offices and storage units. Once we've done that, then we can put the jersey barriers in front of them to create some separation between pedestrians and HGVs. The boys are also at the same time excavating on the other side of the electrical substation to create a space for the silo, water tower, workshop. We'll wash, and then with the generator, plenty to do in the yard today.
It's not necessary to make a slab for the offices, as this is not their permanent home. The lads have used 4x2 timber and shuttering ply to create small bases to support the weight of each unit in their exact location. While this dries over the other side, we're beginning to prepare for heavier items where a slab is needed. Sometimes in life, I feel like I'm playing a game of snooker, and if the opposition haven't 147'd me and wiped the floor with me, then they just constantly try to snooker me. Now, I've been telling you for a while about the application to upgrade the power in the new yard. I'm trying to juggle finance, trying to find the resources to make it happen. I think I have another month or so to accept the quote. Generally, if the quote expires, you can get another one. I just had an email. Multiple applications have gone in since mine, and there is now not enough power in the area. But for once, the sun is shining on me, even though it's actually raining now, don't point that out. Because I was first in line, if I accept the quotation, then the power is Ashville's. Like He-Man, I have the power. However, the quote will not be extended, and I have 30 days to accept it and pay. Not only do I need to find 47 large that I don't have, I need to find about 90 grand to put in the infrastructure to plug the new cable into, or the electrical provider won't do it. Here's the honest answer. I haven't budgeted for it. It's not in the cash flow, but I must find a way. Go into all your pockets and pull out the tissue and the buttons, get the shrapnel together and break open the old NatWest P bank from years ago. We have to do something to get this money together and make this happen. Because if I don't, the world could be a completely different place for Ashville. All of what's happening in that new yard is dependent on the electrical infrastructure. The generator is just a backup. A backup, I tell you. We're not going to be running the yard off a generator. Well, anyway, went on a lovely drive earlier through a quarry before it started raining. I would say they had about the same amount of material as Glensander, probably about 700 million tons. Click here to watch a video on Glensander, Europe's largest quarry. And now it's begun to rain a little bit, and we were driving through an area where they were laying the road, and as it rained, it brought up all this mist and steam that was very atmospheric. Anyway, back to the UK, where the tyre fitter has some work to do. We've had a delivery of some new tyres from Donovan Tyres, which is being sorted into size and type. We're checking for punctures with a mix of water and washing up liquid. The bubbles you can see is air escaping. The locations are marked, and we'll come back to do the repairs later. We're using 3 colours. Green if the tyre is good to go out on the road, yellow for damage which needs to be repaired, and red if the tyre cannot be saved and needs to be scrapped. It's repair time. The area in question is cleaned, an adhesive applied, and a patch fitted. We can now mark this tyre with the colour green. It's Wednesday morning, I'm not in the yard, and it was almost time for another episode of the project manager that no one asked for, but I couldn't get my way onto the site. Not entirely sure what they're building here, but I would love to walk on that site and make assumptions. Anyway, we're all lined up, ready to go. Be heading out in around 1 hour's time. Michael, my brother, you look older than me.
Have I hear him right that you're out acting the genie in a car?
If you're asking if I'm touring Europe in a vehicle that some may say is fast, I guess the answer to your question is yes, Michael.
Someone did tell me that this morning. I said, nah. He's got a yard to build, he wouldn't be that silly. And I've got to have a good guess. You have got a sticker man with you, following you in case you get lost.
The sticker man is actually right next to me. I've got Michael O'Donovan on the phone.
I've never been to Europe in my life. I can't afford to go to Wood Green, never mind go Europe. I would have gone. I could have borrowed my mate's roller and gone followed you around in the roller.
You've got a roller, Michael.
Finance wanted it back. Daniel, I'm going to have to cut you short because there's someone ringing my bell.
Another Amazon parcel, I guess.
Yes, I presume so. You have a safe journey, the two of you, mate. Go on.
Another concrete pour to do, and we've brought the boom pump in again. We're just firing up the concrete poker now to ensure we remove all the pockets of air and have consistency in the mix. These are the 6 metre sections in between the 6 metre sections we poured on Monday. We sent the landlord an email last night, once again asking them to come to the table. Can we please discuss this? Can we please find an amicable solution? We haven't heard anything as of yet, but they did send a representative in today who was taking pictures of the yard. Now I assume they want to see how much of our stuff is there. I'm just guessing. I don't really know. And addressing it, as Michael said, yes, it is not a great time for me to be away. I am aware of it, but a promise is a promise. I said I would be on the tour, and I feel like I've put enough in place that everyone has work to get on with, and everyone who's left is fully capable of carrying out their duties and has the capacity to firefight and make split-second decisions which are in the best interest of the company. But then I think to myself sometimes, if I was there, what would I personally be doing? I'd still be answering my emails, which I can do anyway from here, still be working with a video team. I would just be managing a little bit more and trying to push it forward. That will probably be the difference if I was still in the yard. But maybe it's a good thing I'm not in the yard. Sometimes taking a step back gives you room to breathe and think about what you're doing. But like I said, once again, it's not ideal. Onwards to Barcelona. Officially in Spain now. I just saw a gentleman pulled over on the side of the road. I believe he was having trouble with his lorry. Reminded me that today our new Volvo volumetric is going for MOT. Took a look around it over the past few days, needed very little work. The lorry was in a good state because we checked it before it went to John Radford to be sprayed, and to be honest, the most of the work it's been doing has been in the yard. It did a couple of concrete pours, but mostly it's been up and down working on the track work. It's Thursday, I'm not in the yard, I'm still in Barcelona. Today is a day when we're not driving, it's a day off where we're meant to be enjoying the city. Everybody has been at a pool party, beach party for a couple of hours. I've been in the room since I woke up this morning. Time is 2 p.m, trying to get a hold of any work I missed and trying to plan the big move over to the new yard. There's so many small pieces that all have to fit together for this plan to work. I am talking to coils that you've seen in the past that helped us move some bits into storage once. I've planned them for next Wednesday. Then I'd like to do a big move on Thursday and Friday by having a crane in each yard. One crane in the old yard, picking bits up. We're gonna rent an Arctic and a flatbed and run bits over round to the new yard, and then another crane will be set up in there, putting things in place. I believe if we work extremely long days for 2 full days, we may get it done. Maybe it will take 2.5. But before we can do that, I'm trying to organise with Matt, the Love Island contestant, to get the scaffold dismantled. But I can't dismantle certain scaffold because we're using it. So I've had to put a plan in place to firstly take down the scaffold for the archive. Then from the archive, then move over to the tyre area. Then move back over to the weighbridge. Then come back over and start to dismantle the workshop. When you dismantle the workshop, on top of the containers, that scaffold could come down, but it's tied into the scaffold, which is on top of the workshop. Then take down the steps to my office and that area. At the same time, I'm trying to plan the weighbridge installation team to be in the new yard 1 or 2 days after we put it down. Hopefully they can be on the Monday if we move it on the Friday. And also the silo engineer, because the silo needs to be completely recalibrated. But in order to move the silo, we have to stop taking cement and ensure that the tank is completely empty. We shift it, and then we need to organize a load of cement first thing as soon as it's set up, because we can't put cement into it until it's been recalibrated. Otherwise the readings will be out and we're never going to get it right. Also, I'm trying to sort out a background noise survey. We are moving from one yard to the other. Although they're next door, I need a record of the background noise which our existing site is creating. So when we move into the new one, we have a comparison to see if we've increased the background noise in the local area. And of course I have to use a third-party acoustic company that specialize in that area. A lot of moving cogs. I spoke about it yesterday and I questioned it again today. Should I even be here when so much is going on? Nobody wants me on their shoulder like a parrot, standing over them, watching them doing the work. So I have to put the plan in and keep evolving and adapting around it, because what would I do? I'll just stand there, or I'd say faster, faster, and that's not going to help anyone, and it's going to probably upset everyone as well, which is going to be counterproductive. In other news, the generator report has come back and the generator is A-OK. However, I need to upgrade the batteries. At the moment, they are a 600 CCA, and I've been told by the engineer that we need to get new ones which are 800 CCA, so when we crank it on, the batteries are not straining. And I'm not finished yet. At the central London penthouse, what we've been pricing for a while, the client has been having conversations directly with my mate Johnny from Scotland. He's put together a rough outline of the kitchen just for the purposes of budget pricing. We can't go into the pounds and pence. This is exactly what it's going to cost. They need to approve this concept, decide on a couple of colours of doors, the interior cabinetry, the worktop appliances, then we'll be able to drop that into our cost plan and submit. Now, I'm going to go out for a couple of hours, then I need to come back and download weekly what's going out on Sunday, which is episode 193. Click here to watch that video. And then tomorrow morning, I'm back on the road again. This is Taron Deep, one of our Grab drivers, who is also on the road again.
We are going in Camberley, dropping 40 mil grey slate, and we are picking up a load of muck from there, same place.
Before this lorry was loaded in the yard, we had to triple check the body was clean to ensure we could keep the grey slate free from contamination. The grey slate is a decorative high value product, so we have to be extra careful with it. Once offloaded, we load some screenable material, which is a mix of soil, stone and concrete. This will be taken to a waste facility where it can be segregated into different sizes, washed and processed to create recycled material. Friday morning, I'm on the road again in Madrid. You have to go through tolls when you're in Europe, and because I'm by myself, unlike everyone else, I have to keep running round to the other side to get the ticket. And I've jumped out, all my cards, driver's license, everything was in my back pocket. They've fallen out. I've jumped back in the car and driven off, and I've only realized when I've got to the next toll and I need to pay that I have the ticket, but I don't have any way of paying. Luckily, one of the other drivers on the tour had pulled up. They borrowed me a debit card so I could pay to get out of the toll, because they weren't having it. They didn't care. It was like €1 and they just did not, they weren't having it. I had to call and cancel all my cards. It happened relatively quickly. I'm quite surprised. And then another one of my business cards, I pulled over and I was actually able to do it on the app, and all my new cars should be at my house by the time I get there. But I have a problem now in how on earth am I going to manage to even have something to eat. I'm going to be poncing off people and sitting there not able to pay left, right and centre. So I'm going to have to find a way to get some money, because I can't even buy a round of drinks or eat. So I can't even put fuel in my car. On the subject of money, I was speaking to Terry just now, and we have a system now where each and every invoice is put in a pile by the accounts team and put on Terry's desk. And Terry has to check every single invoice before it's approved. We will not pay an invoice until it's approved. And as Terry is talking with his counterparts in other companies who he agrees the rates with, he knows what the rate should be and he can cross-reference with his emails. Well, on a monthly basis, we receive credits of between £3,000 and £5,000 with suppliers who have charged us incorrectly. And Terry says,
I'm not paying that. Here's the evidence. You're going to have to issue us with a credit.
Well done, Terry. Imagine over the process of a year, that's an extreme amount of money to be going down the drain because your suppliers are making mistakes. The delivery we had a few weeks back of the reinforced mesh, that has now all been used between the team doing the track work and the construction team doing the work to prepare for the new offices. So we have a delivery of more mesh arriving now. Continue in line with the engineer's specification, fitting 2 levels of mesh and tying them together. We do this on both the train track and the temporary slab in the operating area of the new yard. It's Saturday, I'm not in the yard, and we have officially arrived at the finish line in Marbella. What I'm Gussie? Good. Finally reached the finish line.
How you feeling?
Emotional. Yeah, I've enjoyed it immensely. Can't wait for next year. All checked in and the hype has finally died down. On the way in, I saw some construction sites which the project manager that no one asked for is going to go back tomorrow or Monday and try and visit. In other news, the cards which I lost and cancelled, I found them in the car. They had fallen out of my back pocket and gone into the passenger footwell, and somehow they were under my bag. I got my license, but all the credit cards have been cancelled. Back in the yard today, the preparation continues for our big move. We are going to dismantle blocks. We're going to break out concrete around the 40-foot containers so they are not stuck in the ground when the crane tries to lift them. And we are continuing putting mesh in the new yard to create the slabs for the silo, water tank, generator, and bagging plant. As we dismantle the material base, we take the blocks and stack them in the new yard. When we set up the yard, the 40-foot containers were the very first thing that went into place. As time went by and the yard developed, we didn't have the room to maneuver or shift them, so we ended up concreting around them. Now we need to break out this concrete before trying to lift them. And that's it for Ashville Weekly episode 195. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down here for last week's episode, which was number 194.